Okay. You have to keep banging it down. Sorry about the noise, but can't be helped. This is the quickest way to make a coffee, a dessert that I know of. Although one of my friends in the studio, I'm not going to stand and mix this all morning. We'll just give you a bit right now. One of my friends called this a coffee slurpee. Ah, come on. She's that way, though, you know. She eats with us often. We'll just put some of the ice, you see, into a cup, all chopped up so that it's literally like a Slurpee. And then on the top of that goes a bit of whipping cream. I didn't want to take too long to spend on that thing because it never works when you're watching. When you're not around, it works all the time. So you be patient with yours and it'll do it fine. Otherwise, I'm not going to let a silly food blender get in the way of our relationship. There. Put a little coffee ice in the bottom of a glass, put some whipping cream on it. You have a marvelous dessert for the coffee freak in your life. And I'm one of those. All right, another one. This one is very popular with our friends since we first started doing shows in Tacoma, Washington in 1973. It's simply a coffee liqueur. It's very much like, not quite as good, but very much like the Kahlua style thing, you know. And it's wonderful for entertaining. Pour it over ice cream. This is how it's made. It's so simple, it's absurd. I'm going to bring to a boil 4 cups of water. Got that? Really complex recipe now. Write it down. 4 cups of water, and I'm going to add to that, once the water's boiling, I'm going to add to that 4 cups of sugar. Good heavens, what's he making? Well, it's going to be good. You just be patient. I'll show you. And we'll cook that for a minute till it dissolves. And then we're going to add to that 2 ounces of a good instant coffee. I prefer that you use, I happen to like Spice Islands Antiqua because it's a very bright flavor. That's a very rich coffee. But you can use some other if you like. 2 ounces would be about like that. All right? All right. That's 2 ounces. And we'll stir our coffee in. Don't quite boil this, but bring it to a light simmer. See, we now have 4 cups of sugar, 4 cups of water, and we're going to, this instant coffee, 2 ounces, bring that to a light simmer till all of this dissolves. I'm obviously not going to take time to do it now because I have some other things I want you to see. There we go, that would be long. You bring it to a simmer and let it dissolve. It should not quite boil because don't ever boil coffee. Warmed over coffee, or boiled coffee, it's terrible stuff. Just terrible stuff. And that goes into a gallon jug. But first of all, we have to throw in 1 whole vanilla bean. You buy these at any good delicatessen. There it is. He went in there so fast you didn't get to see him. I'm sorry. Here, this is the whole vanilla bean. The flavor is just wonderful. The odor is even better. There's some foods that smell better than they really taste. And I think coffee is certainly one of those. So in it goes. And then we're going to add an entire 1/5 of cheap bourbon. Don't invest a fortune, please. Some people make this with vodka. But I prefer it made with bourbon. Now you'll notice that I put the bourbon in the bottle first, and then I'm going to add the coffee. What we have now is a coffee syrup, because I don't want to crack the jar. And if I put the coffee syrup in first, then you're going to have a terrible problem with cracking the bottle. I better get a platter to do this on, or a bowl or something. There. I usually make a mess when I do this. You can put this in a gallon jug if you like, you know, an old wine jug or an old vinegar jug or something like that. Be sure it's clean. And we're going to cap this up and let it sit. No, this is not something you make if they're coming over tonight. You let this sit for 1 month. Got it? 4 cups of sugar, 4 cups of water, bring it to a boil. Put in 2 ounces of instant coffee, then a vanilla bean, a bottle of bourbon. Make your syrup first, and then blend it with the bourbon and the vanilla bean. Let it sit 1 month, and at the end of that time, you have a cordial, an end of a meal thing that's just marvelous. We serve this after we serve dessert, after we serve the cheese, after we've had the dinner coffee. Then we go into the front room, and I have mine in a very fancy bottle, of course, and it's wonderful stuff. So there you are. There's a coffee liqueur that's great for cooking, wonderful on ice cream, and it's just fun to drink by itself. Very good. All right. Let's go on to one more here for you. We have a, let's see, this ready? This is perfect, all right? I have a cafe creme de café. It's a coffee custard I want to show you. It's very simple. I have placed in my pan here 2 cups of milk, 2 cups of milk, and then I put in 4 ounces of coarse coffee. I like espresso best myself. Then I'm going to add 3/4 of a cup of sugar. There we are. And then I'm going to add to that, I'm running out of spoons here today. There we go. I'm going to add to that a bit of, just a pinch of salt, just a tiny pinch of salt. We don't want much, just to help build the flavor, but you don't want it to be salty. And finally, 3 tablespoons of brandy. Good Lord, what's he making? Well, 3 tablespoons of brandy it is. Now remember, the grounds have been sitting in here. Bring your milk and the grounds barely to a simmer, then let it sit for about 10 minutes. Got that? Then you add the 3/4 cup of sugar, and then a tiny pinch of salt, 3 tablespoons of brandy, and then we're going to strain that out very quickly and easily here through a little bitty strainer. Well, I better stir that up. The sugar hasn't dissolved yet. There we are. This one's getting cold. It's been sitting here too long. One of those days, you know, but it'll still work fine. All right, run it through a strainer. There we are. Whoops. Calm down, Jeffrey. The grains are... You'll excuse me, I must dump some of the grounds here. Okay. We'll get rid of that. You have to keep your strainer clean. You see the grounds build up. And close the tiny pores in the strainer, of course. You've already caught on to the fact this is very rich, haven't you? Well, you haven't seen anything yet. Watch what we do next. Okay. Little finger work doesn't hurt at all. There we are. Now we're going to whip this while it's hot. We're going to whip this into, now I did not say we're going to whip the eggs into, we're going to whip this into 5 egg yolks. And please understand that you must put the hot liquid into the egg yolks. If you put the egg yolks into the liquid, the egg yolks are going to cook right away, and you're going to be in real trouble. Namely, you're going to have a big curdly mess, and you don't want that. So whip it in a hurry. Just pour it right into your egg yolks. All right, here we go. All right, and you stir all of this in, and then put this back on the burner, and cook it until it's thick. It'll take about, I don't know, 5 minutes? Not much more. Very low heat. About 5 minutes, and you're set to go. And what you come up with, let it cool in a bit, and what you come up with, here you are. It will finally set up like a very lovely, light pudding. I want to try this. A coffee creme, coffee custard, you see. It's really very, very good. Let me try it here and see what, I'll give you my full opinion. Okay? See what we do. You know, you wouldn't believe how clean, how absolutely pure the coffee flavor is. I'm sorry we have to keep cooking. This is just wonderful. All right, put it out here. Let's go on. Have one more for you. It's really by way of telling you more about the history of the coffee bean, because people criticize me in a loving way for eating so much garlic. Well, I have good reason to eat garlic. I'm going to die pretty soon. You know, I've only got about 30 or 40 more years. And I've got a lot of garlic yet to eat. I love garlic. But let's admit it that sometimes when you have garlic on your breath, well, never mind. You understand. Sometimes people don't want to talk with you. So here's what you do. When you're closing out a dinner party and you've had a lot of garlic, a big Italian party, you see. I had dinner with some friends across the street from my kitchen here the other day. We were so full of garlic from sausages and wonderful Norwegian dumplings I could hardly waddle. What I should have done was to come back here and take 3 coffee beans, dark ones, and simply whole coffee beans, you see, and pop them into my mouth. That's all there is to it. Chew those up. Yes, I know you smell like coffee, but it's better than smelling like garlic. And it'll cleanse your tongue, it'll cleanse your mouth, and the next time you give your lover a kiss, he or she will be very impressed that you have cut down on your coffee intake. The Italians do that in a very strange and clever way. They have a drink that they call sambuco, and it is a, let me light a burner because I want to show you something that's great fun. They have a drink that's close to what the Greeks call ouzo, or what the French call anisette, or what we would call anise liqueur. It's very delicious, and it's very, very sharp. And what they do at the end of a formal meal for an after-dinner liqueur is to put a little bit of, see how thick it is? It's very, very sweet. And into that goes a couple of coffee beans. 1, 2, 3. How about that? Maybe 4. Because they want you to cleanse your mouth after dinner. This is warmed over a flame so that, well, watch and see what happens. So that eventually it will ignite. What you should do is warm this in a little saucepan and serve them. But this will ignite very quickly once the flame gets rolling here and the alcohol begins to evaporate. There we go. Can you see that? You see that going? And they bring it to you. Can you see the flame? I hope so. There you, now you can. Isn't this a ride? Now this is on fire, so be careful with it. The fire goes out, you put your hand over the top. There, now it's out. Now be careful, the edge of the glass is hot. So first you begin with coffee beans in a different way, floating around in an anise-flavored liqueur, anisette, licorice, all right? And first you smell. You smell. And then you smell some more, because the glass is hotter than a firecracker. And then you wait a bit, and eventually you drink the liqueur and then eat the coffee bean. Now, if you want to blend this liqueur with ice cream, you'll come up with a wonderful, wonderful dish. A little ground coffee, probably some instant, you see, and some buko, and you can come up with a lovely, lovely coffee. My favorite way, however, let me show you this one. This is just too simple and too silly. How about at the end of a dinner party, you were to bring out a bowl of ice cream for everyone, and now don't buy cheap vanilla for this. You buy good vanilla ice cream for this one. And you place a bowl of vanilla ice cream on everybody's plate, and on the top of the ice cream, you sprinkle a bit of first-class coffee. Good coffee. A good ground espresso. Just sprinkle it. This is what Mr. Stewart does. Can you imagine the guy goes to work in the morning and he drinks 16 different kinds of coffee each morning to figure out which one he wants to use for blending, and then he comes home at night and for dessert he has ice cream with coffee on it. It's very delicious. 16 beans to make different beans to make 1 pound of coffee. And the thing that bothers me about what he does is that he has to taste. It sounds like biblical theology to me. He has to taste ahead of time what that bean is going to be when it finally winds up in his dock. He has them all over the world. They ship them in, and he has to know what they're going to taste like before they arrive so that he'll know what to do with them when they get there. And that's how he buys. You see, there's nothing simple about coffee. It looks like it comes out of a can, but it comes from many, many nations in Central America and South America, Africa, all over the world. Wonderful things. And we can celebrate coffee as a party item, and certainly as a normal item for entertaining. Use it for flavoring, use it on ice cream, use it in custards, use it with the chicken. Make a thick sauce with a bit of brandy, coffee extract, and put it over a light veal, and you'll have a wonderful time celebrating coffee. So, until we spend time together again, this is the Frugal Gourmet with his coffee cup, and I hope you have a grand time entertaining with coffee. Until I see you again, I bid you peace. Bye-bye.